Okay, can you guys see the PowerPoint?
Yes.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Okay, I think we should give everyone a few minutes to hop on, and then we can go ahead and get y'all all started around 5:05. Does that sound good?
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Welcome everyone that's hopping on. I see Tatiana, Jasmine, Destiny, and Celine are on. We are just gonna wait 3 more minutes, and then we'll go ahead and kick it off for the general information session for our fellows. And our presenters here are Alicia, Lauren, and Rai. I'll give another presentation of them at 5:05, and they can go ahead and kick it off during that time. Hey Tatiana, can you hear us right now? Let me know in the chat box if you can hear my voice, Tatiana. All right, y'all. So it is officially 5:05. I want to thank everyone on this call who is here to join us and get to know more about Ignite, and in particular, more about the fellowship that we have across the country. I know right now it says that my name is Sarah Guillermo, but my name is Esmeralda Cortez, and I am the West Coast Program Manager for Ignite National. On this call, our actual presenters are going to be our fellows, Alicia, Lauren, and Rai. They are going to give you one of the best presentations that y'all have seen thus far today. And so with that, I'm going to go ahead and kick it off and hand it over to our lovely fellows. And just for the fellows, let me know when you want me to click the next slide, and I'll go ahead and do that. So I'm going to take myself off video and audio so y'all can take it away.
Awesome. Thank you, Esmeralda, for that wonderful introduction. Hi, everyone. It's so good to be here, and I'm excited to share more about Ignite. I'll start off by introducing myself. My name is Lauren Walter. I'm a junior at Agnes Scott College in Decatur, Georgia. Oh, can you hear me? No?
I can hear you too.
Oh, okay. Um, okay, well, I'll continue. I'm a junior at Agnes Scott College, and I've been involved with Ignite for about 2 years. I first got involved when I went to my first interest meeting at Agnes Scott College. And right when I heard about Ignite and the wonderful opportunities that they give young women in college, I was immediately on board. So I became more involved in the chapter. I took on leadership roles within my chapter, and I worked on
I
programming
can.
that I really enjoyed, registering voters, meeting elected officials, and then I applied for the fellowship exactly almost a year ago, and I got it, and I was super excited to join the team. So I'll hand it over to Alicia to introduce herself.
Hey everybody, my name is Alicia. I'm currently the New York Fellow. Right now, I am a graduate student at New York University, and most of the work that I do in Ignite is based primarily in New York. We have like a few different chapters, but I got involved with Ignite after attending Young Women Run, the largest New York conference, and one of the conferences that Ignite has state to state. And I just kind of continued through going through different college councils and then staying engaged with the programming. And that led me to learn more about the fellowship. And I just applied because Ignite's mission and values really lined up with mine. And I've been here ever since. So I'm really happy to be here talking to you guys. And I'm going to pass it off to Rai.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Rai Gassesi, and I am currently the Minnesota Ignite Fellow. I am a graduating senior at Hamlin University. I study public health and political science. And one of the main reasons why I got involved with Ignite is also, like Lauren and Alicia said, is because of its mission and values. I was frankly tired of not seeing equal representation of women in politics and women in elected office. And also, one of my closest friends was the previous Minnesota Ignite Fellow, so I was able to build a pretty close relationship with her through her fellowship year. And I'm really happy to be here and share with you all why I absolutely love Ignite, why I've loved this fellowship, why it's one of my favorite fellowships. And I hope you all enjoy this presentation. I'll kick it back off to you, Lauren.
Thanks, you guys. We could go. Awesome. Thank you. I'm just going to go over the agenda really quickly for this presentation. First, we'll just give a brief overview of the fellowship program and what it entails. And then we'll go over to day in the life of a fellow, weekly expectations, then balancing work and school, self-care, which is also equally as important, supervision, support, relationship with national application timeline and next steps. And then we'll be ending with Q&A and facts. So you can go on to the next slide, please. Thank you. So Ignite, you heard us talking a lot about our mission, and Ignite's mission is to build a movement of young women who are ready to own their fair share of political power. Ignite is a national nonprofit, nonpartisan organization. That means that we attract women from all different backgrounds, different ideologies. We do not discriminate. We're super diverse. And one of the things that the fellowship specifically works on is our college programming and mobilizing women on college campuses. So I'm the Atlanta Fellow. I think I forgot to mention that. But so I mobilize women throughout the Metro Atlanta area. So that includes like the suburbs too. And we can go on to the next slide, please. So we have fellowships all over the nation. I'm the Atlanta Fellow, and then we have our New York Fellow here and our Minnesota Fellow, and then we have fellows all over the nation, which is awesome. And we'll hopefully be expanding to 2 more in this next fellowship year. We can go on to the next. Thank you. So our fellowship program, it kicks off with a 1-week training in Oakland, California, which Ignite is based. And that's where we have a chance to connect with the other fellows and learn from year 2 fellows, which are fellows that have done the fellowship for a second year. And then we also connect with Ignite staff, learn how we're going to give the tools and resources that we'll be giving to college students. And yeah. And at the end of our fellowship, it ends with Young Women Run in DC. That's what Alicia was talking about. We can go on to the next slide. Thank you.
Okay.
Alicia?
So I'm going to be talking about the day in the life of a fellow, or just day-to-day tasks that you can expect to be doing. So each day is going to look different from state to state. You may be in a new state, or you may be in like a returning state. So like the task that you all will have to do is going to vary, but there are general things that that you can expect to do regardless of where you are. And we can go to the next slide. So some of the expectations include college council planning. College councils are our main method of mobilizing young women. You will learn more about college councils and how to put them together, along with creating chapters when you're at the retreat and when you're checking in with your supervisors. So like the nitty gritty stuff of college councils and chapters, we won't necessarily go over, but that is something that you learn more about as you go into the retreat and once you're accepted to be a fellow. So college council planning, that includes like creating an Eventbrite, creating flyers, just doing general promotion to everybody in your state, whether that's through email, whether that's through in-person events. Of course, things will be looking different because of the current situation, but it's mainly just creating an event to mobilize the young women who are interested in Ignite and interested in politics, and then finding ways to promote your event. It's also going to include college outreach. So right now in New York, we have 5 chapters. So I do college outreach to those different campuses and the different students on those campuses. And that is just a method to like keep everyone connected as they go about creating events on their own campus, and then as they participate in national events that Ignite hosts. Yes, if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. And then that also, can we go back to the last slide? Thank you. So then that includes member check-ins. So you'll have all these different people from these different chapters that are interested in the work that Ignite is doing and the work that you're planning for Ignite as a fellow. So you'll need to like check in with them, whether that's through text, phone, Zoom, just a way to keep up to date with what's going on with everybody in your state. And recruitment is another weekly expectation. Just recruiting more members. That can be through even Instagram, or like just asking like, hey, I see all the great work you're doing. This is where I'm from Ignite. This is the work we're doing. We'd love to have you participate, or we'd love to have you and invite you to an upcoming event. Weekly expectations also include reflection and planning, just reflecting on your week and just figuring out what you're going to do for the next week. And then it also includes one-on-ones, whether that's with your supervisor or people in your state community, and then timesheets, just to track all the work that you're doing for national purposes. Okay, we can go to the next one. Thank you. So some general tips for each week that I feel are important as a fellow is to, one, pace yourself. Once you get accepted into the fellowship, you'll have priorities from the Ignite side. You'll have priorities from school. We're all students. You'll have your family priorities. And then you'll have people who are just generally interested or who are members of your community reaching out to you. So you want to pace yourself as you go into each week. and just carve out specific time to do all of your tasks. That'll prevent you from running yourself thin. And then you also want to complete your weekly sheets. The weekly sheets are like reflections of what you've been doing this week and what you're going to do next week, and that helps you keep track of everything that's going on, and it just makes life easier for you. You want to check your emails each day whenever you have the time, maybe like at the end of the day or like before you start classes or in the morning. That'll prevent you from feeling overwhelmed because, like, once you get everything started as a fellow, you may notice, okay, I don't really have much emails. Nobody's really reaching out to me. And then, like, 3 weeks later, everyone has found your information, So you want to, like, just keep track of what's going on with your inbox, and then you'll also be able to stay up to date with what's going on nationally, and you'll be able to like check in frequently with your supervisors. Linking your Google Calendar to your phone, I feel like is really important, or just linking any calendar, having a calendar in general, buying a planner, anything that involves a calendar is going to be really important as a fellow because, again, you'll be juggling different events, whether that's the college councils, it could be partnering events like we have one with Boss Ladies on running for office. It could be a webinar you may be hosting. It could be, like a couch party. There could be so many different things happening on the Ignite side and then on your side as a student. So you want to find either like a calendar or a planner, something to help you keep track of what's going on each week. Next, you want to pace yourself when scheduling one-on-ones and chapter visits. So with the one-on-ones or like with the chapter visits, look at your schedule first and decide, okay, well, I have time on Tuesday from 1 to 2. So this is the perfect time for me to check in with my leaders or just anybody that may be interested with Ignite or any upcoming work that you have to do. Another tip is that social media, I feel, makes it easier to check in with everyone in your community. I know, like, for example, in the main database for New York, there are like 300 members, and it's impossible to like meet and see one-on-one and like schedule one-on-one with everybody. But with a combination of social media, Facebook, Instagram, emails, texts, calls, videos, like just making use of all of these different social media platforms, you can reach as many people as possible. And then you can spread the word out. Like your one post can just go to everybody at once, or like you can create a group chat. Just there are certain benefits to using social media when it comes to recruitment, college chapters, check-ins, just anything that has to do with bettering the students that's in your state. And then Google is also a good resource because you can Google other organizations. You're going to be making use of Google when you're looking for elected officials to come and speak at your different events. You're going to need it to like figure out college outreach sometimes. Like I know when I was doing outreach to the different CUNYs, making use of the Women's Center that CUNY has, because they have like one for every campus, and they have like a main office where they can reach everybody. Like just figuring out ways that you can reach multiple people that won't like wear yourself really thin. And again, planners and organizers are going to be your best friend because like you may say, okay, I'm going to remember all of my duties. I'm going to remember all of my homework. I'm going to remember everything with Ignite. Like I don't need to write anything down. No, you're going to need to do that. You're going to need some form of fashion to just keep everything focused, because once the ball gets rolling, like it doesn't stop rolling. And then next thing you know, you have like a bunch of midterms and finals and stuff. So just keeping a planner or organizer is good for you. Next slide.
Thank you, Alicia. I will start talking about the balance between work and school. Number one, fill out weekly sheets every Sunday. It helps organize your weekly priorities and set out a day-to-day agenda. Like Alicia said, you can go down a rabbit hole of all the things you could possibly do. So it's really important to tailor your efforts and tailor your focus and efforts and energy into a certain lists. use Google Calendar. So carve out time to dedicate towards Ignite related items. This isn't a typical fellowship or internship or job where you clock in and clock out in person per se. This is a remote internship. So make sure that you're carving out time in your week to make sure that you're dedicating it to Ignite. Third one is communication is key. Like I said, this is a remote fellowship, so oftentimes your supervisors or your coworkers don't know what's going on in your life if you're not able to communicate. So communication is so key. All of our leadership is so flexible, and if you just communicate, hey, like I have a final this week, so I might need a lighter load, no worries. Next is setting your priorities. So acknowledge what your capacity is, know what your capacity is, and make sure that aligns. So you don't want to overwork yourself, but you also don't want to underwork, and just make sure that that's always in alignment. We can go to the next slide. Building relationships is key. So honestly, the Ignite Fellowship is a community organizer position that I almost see it as synonymous. This means picking up the phone, going to visit campuses, and meeting people in person. These are a few of our chapter's actions that they've been a part of or started or initiated. And it really just involves showing out for your community, speaking up, going to different organizational meetings, and so on and so forth. Next slide. Thank you. So college chapters. So as fellows, we are here to mobilize the next generation of political leaders. Thus, we're looking for powerhouse of leaders who are ready to organize and inspire people to leap into this next chapter of their leadership, which is college chapters. So college chapters is an on-campus network of peers who are connected. Activities of chapters include panel discussions, voter registration drives, and so much more. Really, our chapters are some of the most, they're kind of the heart of what Ignite does. This is, like I said, Ignite is a national organization, but the work gets done locally, which really gives Ignite chapters to create programming that makes sense for their communities. For example, I'm a fellow in Minnesota, and I'm doing a regional college council this weekend with my Wisconsin and Michigan fellows, and we're going to be talking about voter suppression. Why we're talking about voter suppression is because in Wisconsin, they recently had an election, a really highly contested election in the midst of a pandemic. So we'll be talking about what does voting look like now and into November. And that makes sense for us in our region because that's something that's affecting our region currently. And we can move on to the next. And like I just discussed, college councils connect you with like-minded women in your city, or in our case, in your region. Fellows are the ones that host these. We have events, we make time for elected officials to come in and speak, we conduct leadership trainings, and we talk about building your self-confidence, building your personal brand, talking about imposter syndrome, a whole bunch of different things. But the point of them is to create a sisterhood type of environment for women in your communities who are involved in political work but are looking for a community of leaders to engage with. Next slide. Supervision and support. Ignite has a dedicated support system for the fellowship, even if we aren't in person. So it's really wraparound. Whether you're meeting with your previous fellow before the fellowship begins, that's kind of in the beginning, trading off of roles, reviewing transition documents that they will provide you with, fellows training in September, and this is where you meet your supervisors and your coworkers. There's always a mid-year training in December or January. We have weekly check-ins with your fellow director, which is part of the regional or with the national team. We have monthly check-ins with all of the fellows. We also have a group chat that we're pretty active in. We have monthly professional developments, for next year, weekly and quarterly program reports, and we have access to a toolkit, handbook, and database materials that's helpful for our programming. And we also have a shared Google Drive that we're able to look up some content for events that is shared with all fellows and all chapter leaders. Next. Relationship with national headquarters. During the retreat, you will meet everyone at Ignite National. In this initial meeting, fellows find out everyone's role in the support system. The support goes both ways. Fellows work with National on the following, which is fundraisers, media pieces, and social media. But I can truly say that the national team is always there to support. You will never feel like they're that far away. You will be connected via text, via email. There's always email chains going on via Instagram. We have a group chat where we send information, where we send flyers, and all of that. So you have plenty of support in this role. And now we will go into a Q&A. Please put your questions in the chat box. If you have directed questions at any one of us, you can let us know, or one of us can answer the questions.
Yeah. Thanks. Thank you, Ray. I wanted to say, because I know while you guys are like thinking of different questions and stuff, I know one of the questions that we had gotten the last time was like, what can I do to make my application stand out? Like, what do you have any tips for like when you're applying to the fellowship? So like in regards to the application, if any of you were thinking about that, just try and put your best foot forward. You may think, well, I'm not a political science major. Like, I don't know, maybe I don't have a chance. Just it doesn't matter what major you are, just put your best foot forward. If you're interested in like working with the community, or if you have experience working with the community or being a leader on campus, even if you don't have the like tons of experience being a leader on campus, just you showing that interest and that desire to inspire people in your state, that desire to mobilize women in your state, all of that really helps. So I would just advise to just put your best foot forward. Don't doubt yourself like you're writing the application. I don't know if Rai or Lauren, you have any other suggestions while people are like thinking of questions.
Yeah, I just want to echo everything that Alicia said, making sure that you present, the best of what you've done over the years in terms of like leadership, if you've held any leadership roles, anything that you've been passionate about, like any passion projects, anything that in your community that you've been engaged with. I know this job is, it's heavy on the organizing work. So if you've done something previously that can relate to what we do at Ignite, and then talking about what you think inspires you about Ignite or what you like about Ignite is also really important. Yeah, that's what I have for you. What have you all found to be most beneficial during your time as a fellow? Likewise, how have you seen your work directly benefit your communities?
Jasmine.
That's a good question.
Yes, I can answer that question. What have I found to be the most beneficial? For me, it's definitely been so event planning has been something that I wanted to do and have access to, but I haven't been able to because I just like that just wasn't in my previous internship job descriptions. So being able to event plan, bring together women who are like-minded in the same room has been one of the most empowering adventures of my entire life so far. I think it's really, really so humbling to see all the young women come together in the same room, take each other's social medias and Snapchats and feel so empowered and validated in that room, because I know when they walk out of that room, they'll take that same energy and they'll make sure that they speak up for themselves when they need to, run for office when they need to, and everything else that follows from that is just, for me, worth it. So the second part of your question, how have you seen your work directly benefit your communities? Many of the women that I have come to my college councils, I actually have a document where I keep track. One of them has went on to get elected in our local board. It's not a board or commission, it's a local coalition. My school is located in a neighborhood called Midway, and it's kind of like a township board, and she was elected to that. It's an elected position. Many young women that come to my college councils go on to pursue internships and fellowships in public policy. A lot of them have run for office on their local or school campuses. A lot of them go on to work for campaigns. So honestly, like they all go off to do such amazing things, and I hope it's because they feel that they have a network of other young women that they can connect to for opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I totally agree with Rai. Oh, sorry, Alicia, go ahead.
Yeah. Similarly to Rai, I totally agree with that. I've always been interested in event planning, organizing. So that time that I spent doing that as a fellow, I found to be the most beneficial. The planning Young Women Run New York, for example, or just having like hundreds of women in attendance, having like 20 elected officials, the idea of like connecting all of these people together and then all of them leaving out the event empowered, like that has been the most beneficial, and that has made me the happiest as a fellow. And then I've seen that directly benefit the community. Similarly, when because we have like a group chat, we have a Facebook, we have so many different outlets that was created for New York, and then you see different members are like they're now running for city council, they're running for school board, they're even running for GSA president on their campus. Like they're just finding ways to continue to be politically active, and then they also may be like, oh hey, I got this internship with this person, or I was inspired to create my own business or create my own organization. So like when I see these success stories and the different ways that the attendees are like moving up and like pushing themselves forward and like being resilient, like that makes me really happy. And I really get to see that the Ignite's work is like really being effective.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I totally agree. It's effective and so powerful. At the end of most of our events, we ask our attendees, or we leave our attendees with like a call to action. And what that means is we make sure that they know that we need to take what we've learned in that day and actually apply it to improving our communities in the future. So not only are we about learning and training and engaging and empowering, but actually taking those tools and resources and connections and relationships that we've built with other people to run for office later on, and to make those policy changes within our community. So it's just really exciting when I'm on Facebook and I see that someone's running for state rep or someone's running for city council, and they're winning and they're getting that support from this huge community all over the nation. It's really inspiring and awesome. I guess we can go on to the next question if it's okay with you guys.
Yep.
So Celine asked, since the fellowship is for 1 year, can you continue doing the same work for the organization after completion of the year? So it is 1 year, but you have the chance to reapply for the second year. So some fellows decide to do that. Yeah. And of course, the work that we do within our organization can be applied to other parts of. So, yeah.
Yeah, you also have like the opportunity, if you like don't continue with the organization after the 1 year, to participate as an alumni. We have like an alumni group. We have alumni meetings. You are still also open to engage in any of the events, even if you're not a fellow. All of that stuff you still have access to, as far as like attending and then joining as an alumni to get like to have your own network as you've like left the organization. Ignite doesn't kick anyone out over here. So even after your programming year is over, there's so many ways for you to remain involved with the organization.
I echo everything Lauren. Ignite is a movement, and movements keep growing. So
okay, yeah, for sure.
Yes, yeah.
yeah.
Okay, I guess we can tackle some of the questions.
Yeah.
How many hours per week do fellows put into their work? I would say about 15 hours a week. So about 30 hours every 2 weeks, and we log our hours bi-weekly.
Mm-hmm.
We have another question from Destiny. What qualities do you look for in a successful applicant?
Oh, I will say we don't get to judge applicants, but I would say what Ignite says that they would like in an applicant is someone that I think is really passionate about, like really resonates with Ignite's mission and values. Someone who's dedicated and committed to starting college chapters, someone who has a lot of energy. There's a whole list, but I will say
Mm-hmm.
Ignite is so open, and you don't have to be an extrovert to be an Ignite, and you don't have to be an introvert. It goes vice versa. We really
Yeah.
want the whole spectrum, and there's all different types of leadership, and there isn't a specific model type of applicant that at least this is the way I'm interpreting it, that Ignite would like. I think we want anybody that really resonates with Ignite's mission, that wants to do this work. I think
Yeah.
that's as simple as that.
Exactly.
I agree. Similar to what Rai mentioned, like just Ignite is open, so any unique qualities or anything that you've done, just don't take yourself out of the race by not applying. Still complete that application.
Mm-hmm.
So we have another question from Celine. Did any of you have any discouraging moments throughout the year in regards to recruiting others to join and support the organization? That's a good question.
Mm-hmm.
So when it comes to recruitment, one thing I feel at recruitment and planning events, one thing I think is important to know as a fellow um, is that everyone also, like, they have their students, their family members, they have lives outside of Ignite. So if someone isn't able to attend your event, don't take it personal. Like, let's say you created your Eventbrite, you did all of your promotion, and it was like 30 people registered and then 15 shown up. If you wasn't able to like get that original amount of people that you wanted, or like that original turnout that you wanted, don't take that personal and like lead that to affect how you work moving forward. Just understand we're all students, we're all college students, we all have stuff going on. And if you focus on like what you do have going on in front of you, then you can make the most out of the people who have attended your event. Like, so let's say maybe 15 people showed up. Now you can have smaller breakout groups. Now you can give everyone like a bit more of that individual attention. You can get to learn more about what everyone is passionate about, what they'd like to do moving forward, and then help them to like develop a plan of how Ignite can support them. So I will say, like, not, it may feel discouraging when it's like, okay, I wanted 100 people to show up to this and only 50 attended, but try not to let that, try not to internalize those type of things, because people have stuff going on and there are other ways that you can involve them in the future. They may be able to catch your next webinar. They may be able to catch your next college council. They may be able to phone in. You may have an elected official coming in a few months and they can attend that event. So I would say when it comes to like recruitment or in regards to strategizing, not to internalize participant engagement.
Yeah, I totally agree. You'll have an event and you won't have the turnout that you expected, but as long as you inspire one person and you convince them that this movement is important and that gaining this parity in government is important, they talk to their friends and their friends talk to their friends, and from there you've indirectly touched more than one person. So making sure that, as Alicia said, you don't internalize that disappointment, because at the end of the day, you're doing your best to reach as many people as you want. And at my first college council, I didn't have the turnout I expected. I think I had about 11 or 12 people, but one of the people that came to the college council really resonated with the mission, and she ended up starting a chapter at her college. So yeah. If I tend... Oh, sorry, Rai, did you want to say anything about that?
Oh, no, you all.
Okay, cool. I'll read this question from Tatiana. If I attend college out of state, what location should I apply to be a fellow in? For example, I'm home in Philadelphia for the summer, but I attend school in California. Well, Tatiana, I would apply to the fellowship that you'll be closest to, like, you'll be there for the school year in a sense, because you'll be working with students on college campuses. So it's important that you're able to be on the ground and be actually physically be on those campuses. So I would say if you spend most of your time, you go to school in California, then I would apply for the fellowship in California. I'm the Atlanta fellow, but I'm home now in Chicago because of what's going on around the nation. But I'm able to, during the school year, be on those campuses. So yeah, I would say apply in California. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, I'd say something similar. Like it'd be easier on you mobilizing students if you apply for like the state where you're going to school, or like if you're in California, you're going to school in California. You can start a chapter or like reach out to students right there in that state on that campus. That'd just be easier for you in regards to like having to like, you know, like just being on campus and seeing those students every day. That'd be a bit easier for you.
Mm-hmm. You definitely want to apply in the city that you live
in. Yeah, I guess we can also tackle, which ones have we done? Oh, are most of the campuses you work with close by? How much travel is involved when working with chapters?
That's a good one.
I think it's very like city or state specific. So in Atlanta, the colleges are pretty close together, from like 15 to 20 to 25 minutes away. So I usually can get there pretty easily. And it really depends on the time. You know, Atlanta traffic is bad, so keeping that in mind when I leave for events.
Yeah, I'd like to say something about campuses. So I know, like Laura mentioned, it's city and state specific. So in New York, there may be chapters and colleges who are interested, who are right here in the five boroughs, but then there are also college chapters upstate, like Pace University, Bard. Think about like St. John's. There are chapters in New Jersey. These all aren't, when you look at it in New York, like these all aren't close to each other. Like travel is involved. Setting time to go to these places is involved. So like when you guys are doing your weekly sheets or like just planning out your week, take that into consideration, where your chapters are, where people would like you to speak at, and like how much travel and time is going to be involved in getting to these places. And then if you discuss and coordinate with your supervisor, there are opportunities to be reimbursed for different travel that you have to do. But like, just also keep that communication with your supervisor too, because it may not be feasibly like possible for you to go to a certain college or location, in which case you could improvise and like maybe do something on Zoom, maybe do like a group call, because you're just not able to, because of the distance, get to those places. And I feel like, I know in New York, for example, the people who reach out to you and the chapters you may manage may not even be in New York as a whole, but they're in like the tri-state area. So just keep all of those things in mind and keep that constant communication with your supervisor too.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah. All right, are you good with this one? How did oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, yeah.
Okay, cool. How did you build relationship? Oh. How did you build relationships with campuses and student leaders? So I've gained more relationships through talking face to face with students rather than like through text or email. So I hold a lot of like classroom presentations where I'll go to the college, I'll get in touch with a professor and I'll ask them if it's okay if I take 10 minutes of their class time to present about Ignite. And then I give them the students my card. And usually I have a good track record with them actually contacting me afterwards. I do a lot of like tabling, passing out flyers on campus. Usually most campuses are open, so you can just show up and not be kicked off. So that's good.
Yeah, I find a way to like build relationships with campus and student leaders by just being flexible to what works with them. In face to face, just calling them, texting them, like just that's how I work to build relationships by finding out what method works best for them. And then like moving forward, respecting those boundaries, or like just if they would rather communicate by phone because they can't meet face to face, or like just being open to how they like to interact and being conscious of the way that they build relationships too. That way I'm not like offending anybody, or I'm not like being overbearing. I'm like taking into consideration the methods that work best for them when it comes to like being a leader and just being like someone on campus to mobilize other students.
Yeah, I
that's
definitely
great.
Texting, calling, emailing, and then always asking like what's their preferred communication. And I will also say I am almost friends with a lot of my student leaders, so I reach out to them via social media just to like check in and learn about what they're doing outside of Ignite too.
Right. So like finding that balance between like being persistent and giving that, their space, and making sure that, as Alicia and Rai said, what's their best mode of communication. So yeah, that's all great advice. Thank you guys. And then we could just do the last question and wrap it up, I think. What have you learned from being a fellow? Who wants to go first? There's so much.
Yeah.
There's so much. The first things I learned from being a fellow is just really how to best engage with students and how to connect with somebody and be able to build that relationship and keep that relationship going. Public speaking skills have been a struggle for me in the past. So Ignite has definitely pushed me to be more comfortable in public spaces and tell my story effectively in order to network with, elected officials, people in policy work, and then also, students. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's a heavy question, but I feel like one thing I've learned from being a fellow is the importance of like the organizing aspect of like bringing people together. Public speaking, like Lauren mentioned, being professional, and like your outreach to different elected officials, being professional, how you interact with students, just having that discipline and really getting to see like the hard work behind the scenes that it will take when you do decide to run for office, and getting to learn more about that process too, about like the concrete steps you can take to run for office, whether that's through like the training of like getting your team together, or like finding out your why, figuring out what's important to you, why you're running in the first place, the really specific aspects of like when it comes to political leadership, I've learned a lot from with Ignite.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
honestly echo everything that Lauren and Alicia said. I've learned so much. I feel the need to share what I think in this, and it's really people like Lauren and Alicia and a sisterhood of people all across the country who are interested in the things that I'm interested in. I think that's honestly the greatest part of the fellowship. You have a, a family, a work, people that all are across.
Yeah, that's so nice. It's true. You really learn that you're not alone in caring about a specific issue. Like we've bonded over so much, not only being a woman or a woman of color, but just being passionate about an issue or an injustice in our community, and gathering and working hard to solve that issue. So it's dope. I highly suggest. Highly suggest.
Yeah. I'm gonna put, and I'm sure like Ray and Lauren wouldn't mind too. I'm gonna put my email in the chat. Like if anyone had any additional questions or anybody wanted to talk more at some point about the fellowship.
Yes, you guys can always are free to email us if you want to learn more about the fellowship or how to get involved apart from the fellowship. Please follow Ignite's socials, friend us or like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram and Twitter. Engage in our different challenges and awesome things going on virtually. This is going to be an awesome week. It's already been an awesome week, so highly suggest. And yeah, take care, everyone. Have an amazing night.
Yes.
Bye, everyone. Thanks for joining.
Bye.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
I'm gonna go ahead and shut this quick meeting.
Okay.
Bye, everyone.